I'm kind of that witch. I'm kind of that witch. Welcome back to I'm Kind of That Witch.
Yes.
The show where we mix the mystical with the messy, the spiritual. I should probably stop the soundboard while I'm talking. The spiritual with the skeptical. And today we're mixing the Peachkka.
I'm obsessed.
Yay!
Yes.
I am so excited. This is a dream, y'all. We got Peachkka in the building. She is a musician, tarot card reader, comedian. Get on it.
Get into it.
And an amazing human. Can we just say all of that?
I'll take it.
Yes.
I will happily take
Yes.
that. I will happily take that. Thank you so much. What an introduction. Oh my God. I'm like, thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you here. And that
so
was the
excited.
whole sound bowl is because you bring the sound, you bring the beats, you bring the music.
Yes.
You know, when I looked at the end of my year, my top 3 artists, Apple. You.
Don't.
Yes,
Stop
you.
it.
I have a little screenshot. I was going to show the camera, but I was rushing here, y'all. So I didn't get
It's
to
okay.
pull it up.
You can put it in
But
post.
I'll put it in post.
I believe you though. I believe you though. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That means so much to me. Honestly, like it's still such a wild thing because I don't know. Obviously, I'm a rapper. Like, you know what I mean? I make music, but like I don't necessarily just consider myself that. And like, especially like doing comedy and stuff now and like reading tarot, it's like, it's just part of the thing and like just something that is really, really fun. So then when people that I respect and that I think are really great at what they do are also like, I love your work. And I'm like, what? I'm like, get out of here. I'm like, thank you so much. It's just such a, you would think that I would be used to it by now, but I'm still getting comfortable with it. It's great. Thank you.
And it's a journey. And it's always
Truly.
just a little journey of like evolving and growing into who we are and what we came here to do. And
I mean, accepting the alignment of purpose.
Yes.
Truly. And then receiving that when other people are also like, yeah, you are in your purpose. You're like, you're right, I am.
Yes. She's an alchemist, y'all.
Thank you.
So we are going to talk about the music and all the things, but I guess like first question, like, how did you get into music? Like, how did we get on this trajectory? When did you know?
Yeah, so I want to say I first started writing, like I was writing poetry first. That was kind of, I was doing spoken word, a little bit of slam poetry, you know, all that, you know, good stuff, you know what I mean? And I was also on my bachelor's program. I was studying in London, and like friends of mine.
Where were you studying?
I did my bachelor's degree at Richmond University in London, which is an American school over there. And then I got my master's degree at University of the Arts London, which is.
Can we do a London accent?
Only a little bit.
Okay,
you know,
just a little bit.
A touch.
Yeah,
just a touch. A little bit better when I'm drunk, for sure.
Okay, because the confidence is there.
Give me a couple drinks in me, and then she's a little bit more accurate.
Yes.
But yeah, so I was friends with people who were doing music, and I was writing poetry, and they were like, just try it. Just see if you can do what you're doing over here on an instrumental, on a beat. And and then it just was something that was so fun for me. And then like creating the persona of Peachkka and becoming her. You know, it was like, that was the journey, really. It was like Peachkka was this person who was so confident and so sure of herself in a way that I necessarily wasn't at the time. And now, like, it's this thing where I have fully embodied all of those things that I was attempting to manifest with her. You know what I mean? It was fully that. Maybe in the beginning in a little bit of a way that we weren't so sure what we were doing, and still maybe listening to other people and what they thought that I should be or should say. And then being able to fully come into this thing of this is who I am.
Yes.
You know?
So, I mean, actually, for everyone at home, you do also a very specific style of rapping that the girlies they're not caught up yet. She's ahead of the wave. Like, we're manifesting, we're affirming ourselves. We're not dating toxic men. Like, the lyrics aren't just pop that booty, you know, they ain't like traditional hip hop where it's, and that's no shade, no tea to just popping that booty.
No,
like,
I think there's a time and place for everything.
Because you do pop your booty to it while you're listening to it because it still slaps, but it's a whole different energy. It's a higher frequency.
For sure. I mean, and that's part of what
yeah.
I was talking about of like, if you know, and the music's still up there, you can listen to my older music. It's not the same.
I think only one of them, like when you go to your Apple, it's only like one of your older songs that's in the top.
Because they're still bangers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna, you know, you can't knock it. But like, it was a lot of that. Like the people that I was around, they were, you know, a rapper talks about this. And especially, this is what we want to hear from a female rapper.
Yeah.
And especially living in London as an American white woman, they were like, this is what you should be talking about. And everyone's gonna love it. And I mean, they liked it. You know, it was entertaining, but it just wasn't me.
Yes.
And that's not again, no shade to the people who do make that music. I love it.
Yes.
There's time and place for twerking music and shaking your ass and popping that, you know, everything. But it was just a thing of like that. That was a little bit of a performance that I was playing, and it wasn't sustainable for me to be in that all the time because it wasn't authentic. You know.
Random morning routine. What's your do you have a morning routine?
Oh, I love. I feel like it's not super rigid. I'm a Pisces, so I can't. There is no rigidity.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sure there's on the record me saying somewhere that I don't need a morning routine.
Yeah.
But I think some like very, very key things of like making sure you get sunlight within like the first 90 minutes of when you wake up, go outside, go for a walk. And I like to do a ginger tea in the morning, or like a ginger shot or something. But yeah, nothing crazy. Okay. Like, I mean, definitely like a setting intentions kind of a moment. But I'm not like I have to say my affirmations in the mirror every single day. But I think there was a period of my life when that was very important. Yeah. And I needed to embody that in my, you know, every day. But I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm like, we just need a little bit of sun and some ginger, girl, and we're good to go.
Yes. Because I listen to like Abraham Hicks in the morning, her Good Morning. Yes. I just like, you know, hey, Alexa, play Abraham Hicks Good Morning. And then it's on and I'm doing whatever else and it's in the background. I'm like, yeah, it is going to be a good day.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I think there's definitely been periods of my life when that's also been part of it. It's been like, we need to get like up and going and want to like set this specific tone or frequency for the day. Yes. And I think that's whatever gets you there is really great. I mean, also, and I can't even lie, and it is going to sound like a little bit of a plug, but it's not. My one of my producers, Chris and Teeb, he does a morning show every morning on TikTok Live. It's him. It's him dancing.
I see something. This T, right?
Yes.
He's like this.
He be dancing. And,
he's lit. He's lit.
But he also plays our music, right, in the morning because he produced my most recent album, and a lot of the him and Chris produced my most recent album, and a lot of the new stuff that I've put out. And so it's just this like burst of energy that's very exciting, and similar way of like hearing the affirmations and whatever. It's also just like him being silly goofy, and you know, sometimes I'll just put that on and like go for a walk or go to the gym or whatever, and I'm like, whatever he's doing on there is whatever he's doing, but I'm listening to the music. Yes.
You know, because he plays all of y'all music, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I do follow him and I do see him, and it's like I mean, here's the thing. That's what TikTok is for. I love it for that. It's that space where you can just, I don't know. I feel like the comment section isn't as cruel as Instagram, and like as coming for you and noting your performance and all that kind of stuff. Like I
think people are more open to being silly goofy.
Yep,
for sure.
Yep, because I feel like I'm silly goofy, and I'm like, most of this is received. The people who want it, they pick it up, and the people who don't want it, they leave it, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's a less of a curated moment.
Yes,
and he it's wild. It's so fun.
Yeah. So I mean, because we're talking music, what do you think one of the best ways to like raise vibration, or I mean the music, obviously. Yeah.
I mean obviously I know you do breath work as well.
Yes.
I would say that those are the two quickest ways to shift whatever you're feeling, whether that's to amplify or to transmute or to relax or whatever. I feel like music and the breath will always take it to where you need it to go. I feel like especially whenever you're listening to music that has specific intention behind it,
Yeah.
that is also really, really important, right? Like, I mean, we can do that intentionally or unintentionally. If we're feeling sad and we listen to sad music,
It's just gonna make us sadder.
Absolutely.
And we're
Which,
just, yeah.
you know, sometimes you just want to be sad, and
Yep.
that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like if we're, you know, trying to maybe come out of that and we're just still listening to things that are reflecting what we're experiencing, then we're not going to pull out of it. And I think then in the same breath, being able to be like, I want to set the intention of my day in this way. And then there's all of these songs that are already in that realm.
Yeah.
I think that's just, I don't know. It feels like it's serving a need that's very important. And we're kind of in a space of like ready for everybody else to kind of get with the vibe and be like, it works. Not only does it work, but it sounds great.
Yes.
You know, doesn't have to be like meditation music.
That part. Yes.
It can be. Doesn't have to be.
But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And I am hoping, like with the Pluto and Aquarius of it all, that the collective shift, you know, but I mean, you already have a great fan base and it grows and grows just from people hearing it and being motivated to.
Yeah. It's just we're letting the wave ride in a natural and organic way, and not try to do any weirdness, you know, to try and push any sort of agenda or get any, you know, any more famous, you know what I mean? It's just letting people just discover it when they discover it, which I think is so fun.
I think I saw you post something about 432 hertz. And then I also saw something about 528 hertz. And I guess what could you tell us a little more about like the not even conspiracies? I think there's actual science behind it.
The conspiracy lies in it being tied to like Nazi propaganda and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that too much because it's like that's really not the realm that I really care about.
Yes.
But what I do care about is the 432 hertz being the frequency of the heart opening sort of it's in alignment with the heart chakra and opening the heart space. And most music, like even when you go into like music software like Logic, which a lot of people make music on, it is naturally tuned to 440 hertz. That's just what most music is. And you can go in there and change it, and that's what most of my music, the newer stuff especially, is 432 hertz. Most of the older stuff, I wasn't even in that realm at that time. Didn't really even know what was going on. But there is a sort of scientific but also intentional reason behind the 432 hertz. It's to allow the message to resonate on a deeper level than just, we enjoy this. You know? But the 440, it's also a frequency that resonates with the body, just in a completely different way, in a way that maybe can make people a little bit more aggressive sometimes, or not in control of themselves. That's where then the conspiracy stuff maybe comes into play. The other hertz that you said 500 and I can't remember.
528?
Yeah, 528. That I believe is the solar plexus. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know too. I only know what I know, and I don't know anymore. And I'm not going to claim to know anymore. But I do know that in terms of tuning a song to it, it's not as easy to tune to those frequencies because there's just a limitation within the software. Which is why whenever people have like songs that like they all say it's like this is 888 hertz. And you produce it in Logic, I'm like, how? I'm like, how? There are frequencies that you can listen to, and you know, binaural beats is what they call them and stuff, and that's a completely different way of producing music than.
Because I listen to those on YouTube, just like I listen to full sound baths. Like literally, you go in my house, it might be one on right now. Like I leave it for the cats to like calm their nervous system because you know they get crazy. And you know, I randomly looked up Miss Rachel, and her voice level is at a certain hertz. So the internet was like. Yeah, she speaks, hi. So like for babies, that's their literal language. She's like light language for them.
Shout out to Miss Rachel.
I know. We love Miss Rachel. But I was so like,
sweet.
She got these babies hooked. Did you see that video where all the babies are like, And they like are the happiest. They like they light up when they hear her voice.
I'm
it's
fully
so
convinced
beautiful.
she's like an angel. And like that might be too woo-woo, but I don't
No,
care.
I think she is a little
Yeah.
angel because they responded. They just got out of the spirit realm.
It's beautiful.
So they're like immediately, you know.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. You might end up cutting all that out because I don't know much about the hurt stuff.
No.
But I do know the stuff on the back end, and I feel like there's the ability that you have to tune from just where it starts at 440 to then 432, I think is just an interesting extra step that a lot of people don't take. But you could.
But you could. Mm-hmm. And it changes the vibration, raises the vibration. What's your like favorite song of yours? Do you have a favorite?
I feel like right now my favorite is Palo Santo Baby still.
Okay.
I also really love the I'm Alive freestyle.
Yes.
But I feel like every new one that I write, I love is really, that's really it. That's really it. What's your favorite?
Oh, I mean, of course, Manifestations.
Period.
Create. CREAAA.
Yeah, shout out to Shariah Wise.
Yes, that one. Yeah, I listen to that. I listen to that one all the time. Billionaire,
I was like, I don't care what my favorite song is. I want to know. I want to know what yours is.
I think Create is probably my top. And when we're gonna do a little breath work, not the session that we do here, we're gonna do a little breath work at the end of this.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of starting with Gaia at the top of the reading. So, but we'll talk about that later. That's for later.
I'm excited.
But I wanted to talk about tarot since we.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't talked much about tarot. Like a lot of what I understand tarot to be is kind of like whatever frequency you are and you ask for a pull is kind of what you're going to get. Like you're going to get the response to where you are. Or do you find it like you're really pulling from the future, not necessarily your current vibration?
No, it's definitely, I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You can obviously see stuff that's coming, but I think my intention is always to sort of assess what we've got going on that maybe we're not able to see or recognize.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't, I feel like you wouldn't come to me if you didn't want me to tell you something that you knew deep down inside, but didn't have the ability to vocalize.
Yeah.
And that's what I think tarot is a really great vessel for. In terms of seeing the future and you know, checking on will this happen, all that stuff, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
Because you do astrology as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know about it. I don't necessarily do like astrology readings. I dibble and dabble here and there.
Yeah, same.
But I feel like, it's a thing where you can and people do. But I think people are often looking for an explanation for something.
Yeah.
As opposed to information on what is.
Yeah.
And like when we're looking for an explanation for something, we're still giving our power away to a certain extent. And we're still kind of deciding that we have no say in it. And like whenever we bring it back to the now and back to the energy at play and the potential and things like that, it still allows it to be, you have total control over your life.
Yeah.
You have absolute free will. And like, just because a card says something doesn't mean that it's set in stone and you can't do anything about it. That's absolutely, anybody who tells you that, they're crazy. And they're lying to you and they're trying to control you or trying to make you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's this thing, but I think that's also up to the reader, right?
Yes.
To whether we're going to scare somebody or we're going to give
I know
you.
when people get like the 9 of Swords and the Death card and certain cards that are like the Tower. It scares them. Yeah.
And that's also, I think, again, up to the reader to be like, okay, you might have something really big coming in and it might be kind of scary or you might be moving through a lot of like mental stuff, but it's up to you to pull out of that. And it's up to you to stay in alignment if you are going through transformation and change. And that's also probably why you're even getting a tarot reading in the first place. You know? So then if we're still trying to make somebody scared, then we don't do that around here.
Yeah. How'd you get into tarot?
It got into me. I feel like everybody says that. There was, so I first started even studying when I was in my master's program and I was writing a play based on the tarot. I was writing like a
I feel like London must be in your what do they call it? The
astrocartography.
Yes, astrocartography.
Yeah, I think
because a lot happened there.
It's over my Pluto line, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which a lot of transformation. A lot of transformation for sure. But yeah, so I was writing a play, and that's when I even just like started researching it, like figuring out what it was. And then I just had this deck of cards with me for years, like for a couple years. And then I was in a not so great relationship, and I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And like, it was as if I looked over and like they started glimmering and gleaming, and they were like, touch me, you know? It was very that. And so I like literally in full sobbing, crying, pulling cards, and like not really knowing what they meant at that time. It was just kind of a thing of like, I just had them, you know, and did the little Google of what does this mean, looked at the book, and like, it was better advice than any real person could have ever given me.
Yes.
And that was also right after my grandmother had passed away. And it was like I wanted to just talk to her kind of a thing. Yeah. And it just felt so good to receive those messages. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to not do this now. If it feels like this, if it feels this good. And then it became just something that I did for myself and studied, and I wanted to learn it, and I wanted to understand. And then, you know, started reading for other people and friends and stuff. And then we were all locked away in our houses. And then I had nothing but a phone in front of me. And I was like, okay, well, let's turn on TikTok Live, I guess, and see what we're doing. Yes. And then the rest is history. And then we had a business.
Because I was about to say, were you already doing tarot before you got into rapping on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was even...
Because I feel like Villain Era was what went viral first for you, right?
Manifestations.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is very interesting because I was already kind of on this uptick because of the tarot reading. And at that same time, because of that same shitty relationship, I decided that
what was his sign? His son's sign?
Taurus.
Oh.
No.
Damn. Okay, sorry.
No.
I'm a Taurus rising. I know. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We don't talk about it.
But the men are all different. Astrology for them is a different thing.
Yeah. He's scary. He's scary. But yeah, I was like, because he was also my producer at the time. I was like, I'm never doing music again. This is horrible. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And as I was like kind of getting sort of a following for doing tarot, I had the song Manifestations. Like, I wrote that before I started doing tarot, and I didn't show it to anybody. I wrote it for me.
Wow.
And I wrote it when I was broke. Had no money in the bank.
I got money in the bank.
And I felt very alone. And I really did. But it was a thing of like, I'm going to lean into this because it's the only thing that makes me feel connected to something.
Yes.
And the tarot. And while still having that song just kind of like for myself, playing as my own affirmations. And then I was like, this has been working for me. Yeah. Why wouldn't I share it?
Yes.
And then it just
Yes.
It just went.
It just went.
Yeah.
Wow. And I feel like inevitably that helped you manifest some money in the bank.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're grateful for it. Yeah. It's to be able to sustain oneself, especially as a neurodivergent girly, as a queer girly, in a way in which I don't have to sacrifice myself and still make a living. That's the blessing in and of itself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I can pay my bills. That's really all I really care about. And I can come and take a cute little trip, see my friends. You know what I mean? Like that's really it. Yeah. That's all a girl needs.
Yes.
You know?
Were you working like any crazy jobs before?
I was a classic waitress.
You know? I was a waitress for 8 years. Good Lord. Thank God.
And I'll do it again, but I don't want to. Okay? I don't want to.
Yes. What else was I about to ask you? So when you're, outside of you play your music and you play Chris and Teep and journal and write, are there other go-tos when you're like pulling yourself up out of the dump? Well, I'm literally thinking of one of your songs. You said, take a shower, drink some water.
Exactly. Period. I mean, speaking of which, actually, I should.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Got a little water.
yeah, you know, yes. I mean, obviously, all of the people that I make music with, I listen to them all the time. I listen to Shariah Wise all the time. I listen to Mellow Will all the time. Chris and Teep, sure. But despite even what you said before of like other people aren't doing the intention or affirmation, like they are, even though people aren't saying it or they might not be claiming that.
Yes.
Like, put a Doechii song on any day of the week, and like I'm a different person.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm a different person, and like
No, there are, and there. I mean, even when I think of like Rihanna, what's that one? Money, the money one. I'm like, oh yeah, all I see is dollar signs.
Period.
You know, like low key, that's a little spell, a little money spell.
Exactly.
We'll take it.
I mean, I feel like it's really all about.
Oh, and I listened to Beyonce, some of her. I'm that girl. Like, she's got so many. She's a whole witch.
You know what I mean? That's a whole other. So
thing. The girl leaves.
She'll admit it out loud, but you know, maybe not right now. But I feel like it's really just about the intention, like, and honoring the intention, and not just being passive with whatever it is that you're consuming. Being like, okay, this is what I want, or this is what I'm looking for, or this is where I am. Let's amplify that. I feel like you can get that from anywhere. I don't know if that answered the question the way you wanted me to.
No,
but I feel like, you can get that anywhere you want. You know?
Yes. And then also you do comedy, which is fun. I mean, I saw some of your characters online. So funny.
It's a new thing.
It's
a new thing.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because when I first started doing music like professionally, I remember it being a very clear like crossroads of like, are we going to do comedy or are we going to do music? And then like all of these producers started coming into my experience. I was like, well, I guess we're doing music. Yeah. Because I didn't have any mentors or anybody around me that was even in the comedy scene, especially in London. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing over here.
How long were you in London?
9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah. I did my bachelor's and my master's degree out there, and then tried to stay there, and then COVID happened. And well, you know.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably would still be there
in London if COVID hadn't happened.
For sure. I really love it out there. I love the scene out there.
Yes.
It's the creative space is really fun.
Yeah.
I also studied theater, so that's very just the energy out there.
Did you do theater out there as well, or only in school?
Mostly in school. After that, it was kind of like, oh, we're doing music.
Yeah.
And music is here, and there's people around that are also pushing me to do music.
Yeah.
Which was great. And it was also what I needed. I think more than theater, I loved the character aspect of it.
Yes.
And I loved being the character of Peachkka.
Yes.
And being the character of Peachkka allowed then the music to flow, especially at that time.
Yeah.
Which then coming back to now with the comedy, it's like, I think especially being someone who grew up trying to be funny to like compensate for something, you know, or like, you know, I'm gonna make a joke first before you can make a joke about me kind of a thing, and like embodying that, and like now then approaching comedy in a way where it's like, I'm gonna try and be funny and not be self-deprecating. And what does that look like, and what does that feel like, and what is that? And like that's been the journey for me of like, how can we kind of poke fun at the spiritual stuff still, but it's not we're not talking down to ourselves while being funny, and we're not reaching to that, and like bringing, and there are some other comedians that are doing that as well, and like bringing the sort of high vibe space into comedy, and I think that we just need more of that, and I think it's just super important, and it's been a learning process of like, what's funny? You know what I mean? Like what's funny and high vibe at the same time.
I know.
How and I'm sure you get that of like, how do we blend these two things?
Especially too with acting, because I've done a lot more like acting, and then I'm doing improv, and then I'm also doing breath work and introducing. And I literally did this workshop, and at the end we had to like write our own eulogy, which was but we had just been breathing each other and doing heavy amounts of breath work, you know, for 4 days in a row. So we're all like high off of this organic oxygen. And then we're having to read our own eulogy to basically memorialize ourselves and give ourselves our flowers before we are dead. So
beautiful.
Very
profound.
It was very beautiful and profound. But within it, I was like, oh, I can still be an actress and a healer. Like those are two things that are important to me. I can still help collective and do this thing. Like we aren't singular, and I don't have to treat it because I feel like, I don't know, we get taught like you can do one thing. And that's it.
Niche down.
Shut
up.
Yep.
Shut up.
And then even when I look at like socials, it's like, oh, well, they know you for this one thing, so don't do anything different. And it's
whatever.
like, oh,
whatever.
Okay.
I am more than what you want me to be.
Yes.
I'm all that and more. But I think, and especially like doing improv as well, like that is an inherently spiritual experience. I don't care what anybody says. We're being silly goofy. But like to be present in the moment, to put the ego aside, and we're not thinking other than maybe the thought of the process of game or whatever. If we're doing Herald or whatever, you know what I mean? All that stuff. The thinking that's required there. But like I'm not thinking about me in this. I have to put me to the side. And
I'm like, how can I help the collective with this? How can we move this scene forward? How can we you know,
and
so
how can I be honest and truthful to the scene and listen to you and support your truth? I think there's something inherently so beautiful about it if we let it be that. You know what I mean? I mean, and especially like, I don't know. I think it's just it's very profound. Very profound.
When did you, like, your spiritual journey, were you raised spiritual or more religious or?
I was raised Catholic, which, you know, is the witchiest of the Christians, I guess.
Yeah, it's the witchiest. You know? Y'all wear, like, the priestess decked out.
It's ritual.
We got little secret boxes where we share secrets.
Oh, yeah.
Confessional.
Exactly. And the candles and the you know, the herbs and the smoke and everything. Yeah, it's
even the music is a way more kind of horror movie.
It's scary. It's scary.
I'm like, what hearse is that at?
It's terrifying. Spirit. But I was always very, very interested in what else, right? Like I grew up in a very conservative Catholic family. So because of the limitations, I was always like, I know y'all are wrong.
Yes.
I was like, I know something's not going right here. So it was always this thing of like pushing the boundaries and wanting to explore. And I think it wasn't until like most people, you hit rock bottom at a certain point and you're like, what is the point of all of this? And then you have this wildly profound spiritual experience of like, oh, well, there is no point, but you get to make your point.
Yes.
And like being able to arrive at that all like continuously and like maybe being scared every time you arrive at it, but still arriving there and accepting it and continuing to grow, I think is just always so beautiful. But like that first time, it's scary. You know, it's very it is like a leap of faith to trust oneself and to be like, okay, clearly I'm maybe not thinking the same way as the people around me. Especially if you come from a small town or whatever, you know.
Christian, I mean, small. Well, Baltimore is not small, but like the community within our beliefs
I'm
is
from
like
Harrisburg. So it's, you know, that's like an hour and a half away.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Baltimore is not far. But it's and especially on the East Coast, it's just a different mindset.
It's a different mindset. Like when I got here, I was like, oh, everybody's off. Okay, cool.
You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. I've got Jesus. And that's all I need. Like throw a cape in front of me. I won't be in hell.
That's so funny.
Good Lord. When I was younger, I actually took a Bible to school to try and save a girl who I believe she was queer. And I was like, and she was out. And I was like,
gotta do something about this.
Fix this. And I came and opened the Bible in front of her. Not on my watch.
Oh my God.
How embarrassing.
Oh my God. In Jesus'
I was like,
name.
I'm so sorry, Raven. If you're out there, if you ever watch this,
Oh my God.
I deeply apologize.
Yeah.
I was brainwashed.
Oh, wow.
Very heavily. Because, like, girl, what are you doing? Crazy. I mean, but I genuinely was like scared for her soul, and I was like, "You are gonna burn in hell. I know this. I have no doubts."
And even like the teaching of being like it's your responsibility as a teenager to change these other teenagers' minds.
The way I got saved at 6 years old, I was a sinner in need of a savior, and I had
sinner though.
A born sinner. I was born a sinner, and I had to go on the altar at 6. I mean, I was already not shit.
Oh, wow.
That was what I was taught. And I was like, yeah, I'm not shit. I'm so unworthy. Let me get saved at this young age. I don't even remember the process, but I do remember I got saved when my mom first started going to church. Yeah.
That's unreal.
Like, they get
Not
us.
the embarrassment.
Right? Of being like, dang, I'm a sinner. I had to get on the altar and repeat after the pastor.
The microphone. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. The East Coast is different. But it's also religion in this country, especially, is like
religion and alcohol. That's all they got.
That's all they got. Oh, yeah. And at one point, I look back. I'm like, I'm so happy I didn't stay stuck in that mindset. I wouldn't have grown one bit. Good Lord,
it's wild. I mean,
yeah.
And
nothing
also,
wrong
like,
with you if you have beliefs, long as you're not trying to like change people and you think everybody's going to hell because they don't have your beliefs. Like, that's just like, I mean, you're the asshole in that situation.
Yeah, obviously we wouldn't poke fun of people if it weren't easy to poke fun of them, and also we didn't live the experience.
Also, they're not listening to this podcast.
Maybe to hate watch it, and you're still watching it.
My last one of the episodes I recorded, and my friend asked, "Does my mom listen to this?" And I said, "Absolutely not. My mom is so Christian." And I posted a clip from it on my Instagram story, and my mom responded, "That's not true." She didn't put an LOL. She didn't put a period. She just was like, "That's not true." We were talking about like Mary Magdalene or something. I know. And I was like, "I'm sorry, girly. I'm sorry I'm not in my word like you want me to be."
I think it's so funny though, because like there is such a clear, I don't know, there's a journey, right? That a lot of people go on from religion and a lot of the time religious trauma, right? Like being put on the altar at 6, it's crazy. You know what I mean? That you got to recover from that somehow. And I feel like spirituality, the broadness of it, right? The openness of it, the sort of many different facets to play in is really enticing, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is like not applying those same like limiting rules and structures to the fluidity of what we got going on over here. And like, I think sometimes, maybe not doing the deconstruction work, or the unlearning of those beliefs can like, that's when you see things like spiritual psychosis and like it gets a little scary and it gets a little like, people are confused because they don't understand that the rules in which you were programmed to believe don't have to apply.
Yes.
And they're innately still within you, though, even though there isn't somebody else enforcing them, or even though you gave up this thing, they are still innately within you. And that's then your job to go through and purge those if you want. Yeah.
Because I know there's, especially I feel like within our society and like, especially America, we are very much around the rules and like stay in line and we need, we're very masculine and it's very like one or the other, like, which it doesn't have to be. And sometimes that bleeds into spirituality and I think too, because the one thing I did like about church was like you create a community and we all are saying this one way. So when you're creating community and you all want to hang out together, one girly likes this and one girly likes that. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. We don't have to be the exact same and we can still have community,
Yeah. I mean, I think you said a lot and and all of it is really important because it all kind of, it explains a lot of why we are in the society the way that we are, because we're looking for rules because we really don't want to, and we're not trained to think for ourselves.
Yes.
Like, we're not taught how to think for ourselves. We're not taught to think beyond just what we're told. Yeah. So we're always looking to be told.
Yes.
Like, just innately. And, I mean,
Because they need working class. So they've created us working class. They had us in schools that look like prisons and eating food without one fruit or vegetable. I mean, actually, I used to have Jell-O with fruit in it. You remember that Jell-O with that fruit? I would be like,
the canned fruit.
Then I would drink chocolate milk, and then I would drink orange juice. I was disgusted.
And then go run a mile at gym the hour after. Oh my God.
Like
and then wonder why you feel like
square pizza.
Shit. Yeah.
And Jell-O with
again, knocking the mic all over because it's stressing me out. I feel like, it's a lot of control. It's a lot of like, also, it's easier when everybody thinks one way.
Yes.
Then we can control you. But not only that, we can like, we know where you stand.
Yeah.
And you're not unpredictable. Yeah. And I think when you think for yourself, you get to be unpredictable. And especially in the time that we're living, being unpredictable is the most rebellious thing that you can do. Yes. I think. In whatever instance you want to go in. I feel like doing something that is unexpected of you is exactly what is needed here.
And taking a stance and having, you know, I was going to say chutzpah.
All of that. Yeah. All of that.
But I do find, especially in these times, having a clear POV and going off the course. We all have to. For the collective to grow, everyone is needed and everybody has different gifts. And that's also, too, one thing that I like about, like, with astrology and human design? Yeah. Of course you do.
What are you?
I am a manifester.
Ooh,
what are
fun.
you?
Projector.
Ooh, yes.
That's fun.
Yes.
I love that. I love hanging out with manifestors. Y'all have like the greatest ideas. It's so great.
Good. Yes, I do feel like there's probably because I'm a Virgo sun. They were like, she has to be a manifester. She's gotta. But the thing is, I'm like my niece was actually telling me last night. She was like, although you're a Virgo sun, you're so like. I'm in the 5th house, which I already know, which is the Leo house. And then I have my Leo moon. And then my birthday's September 14th. So she was like, numerology wise, you're a 5.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So she was like, you're very much not the Virgo. And then I have a friend who's a Virgo with the 8th house. She's in, all her stuff is in the 8th house. Ooh. Very different energy.
Spooky.
Spooky. Yes. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, we're different. There's something like deeply different. And then I finally looked at her chart and I was like,
dark side.
Oh, whoa, you got 4. You got more than a stellium in the 8th house. What is 4 in the 8th house?
A Virgo stellium in the 8th house.
Mars, Mercury, Venus, Sun. Whoa. 8th house.
Interesting.
Yeah. Don't want to. She's probably not going to listen to this, so I'm not worried. But yeah, Capricorn moon, Aquarius rising. I said
I would be
this is a very heavy placement.
I would be very interested because that just immediately takes me to like somebody who would be very rigid and controlling, but like need to go to like a BDSM dungeon and like, get the shit beat out of them or something. like I don't know, like no shade to your friend, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, if you maybe feel like you're pent up, she feels like she's pent up. She might need to like, you know, I don't know, get that taken out.
You hear that, girlie? If you're watching,
hey, that's so funny, especially that 8th house.
Yes,
I don't do that.
Because I don't have anything in the 8th house, which is crazy. And I don't have anything in the 12th house, which I was like, I came to be a little fluffy.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want any problems.
I said, give me the 5th house.
And they tried to tell you had sin?
Yeah.
You said, I don't have any of that.
I said, oh. Well, then I look at I'm like, my placement is in like the house of pleasure. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I am hedonistic. Well, I guess I'm for the streets, but I'm not like, I guess I'm for the streets. I kind of knew that at a very young age. And I was like, I guess I got to sneak to do bad things. I'm still going to do them.
Yeah,
and by bad things, I mean like hang out with a boy.
That is relative.
Go to a party. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Which I do understand my mom not wanting me to go to parties in the city because Baltimore can get a little, the girls like to tussle.
That's true. That is, it gets a little scary out there in them parts.
It can get a little scary. Certain areas, I'm like, don't need to go.
No,
I don't even need to be out there. Yes. But yes. What else was I going to ask? Let me pull up my notes.
This is so fun.
Yeah. So when, this is actually a funny one. Since we were talking about religion, I was like, were you raised to believe that Lucifer, when he was an angel, was in control of music? And
oh my God.
You didn't know.
You're dropping lore on me.
Oh
Tell me. I don't know any of this.
And so in the Bible, I believe, or at least this is what the church told us, that Lucifer, the angel, was in charge of music when he was in heaven. And then when God kicked him out of the sky, he still had power over music. And that's why music is so powerful. And you have to be careful because the devil is in the music. And then when I was a kid, I remember like when da 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 6 Mafia, or no,
Okay.
6 like what is one of those music groups.
Okay.
But yes, that's the question.
3-6 Mafia. I
3-6
remember there being
Mafia.
like a big ordeal around them.
Yes.
Like it's the devil's music. I mean, every
Yes.
new thing is the devil's music.
Is there devil's music, do you believe?
I've never heard that before. I love that though. But also like that makes me think of the story of Lilith, right? And
Yes.
like, you know, how she was supposedly the first woman that was chosen for Adam, and then because she said no, they sent her to hell. And so it's like, okay, well clearly if these people don't do what you want them to do, then they're just getting sent to hell, and then now they're a demon. So there might be some sort of truth to that
punished
mythology.
for eternity, because I was listening to a guy break down Eve, and like, okay, so she didn't know. She was clear of mind. She didn't have a conscience, really. She didn't know what was evil and what was good. But she was put in the garden of evil and good, Garden of Eden. And then she was tempted by a snake. Why would there be a snake there if she doesn't know the difference between good and bad yet? So this snake, who clearly has consciousness, is like telling her that eat the apple. Yeah. And then she eats it unknowing. So she got punished immediately, and all the women after her got punished with periods and cramps because she ate an apple that anybody would have eaten, because you just told us that she didn't have the understanding of good and evil.
Right.
You said that you put them there without that. And then now she has access to information, and having knowledge was what was evil. Now she has godlike knowledge, and now she has to be punished, and so does every single other woman. Like, to me, I'm like, there's a lot of holes in this story.
Well, but that's exactly that, right? And I think that's like then the problem, right, of all the like limitations and the rules, and this idea of like this is the way it has to be interpreted, because like if we're even going to take the text itself, right, it's been translated however many different times,
that part,
in and of itself, but then also like the idea, it's allegory, and like we're supposed to be interpreting it and seeing all the different ways we can interpret it, as opposed to this is what this means, and this is why this is this way, and this is why we're punished for it, when it's like it could be a really beautiful mythological tale if we allowed it to just be that, and like looking at more at like Christian mythology instead of taking it as like this is fact, and like the way people are like this happened, and like it's like maybe just zoom out a little bit. Maybe think a little bit differently. I don't know. Because it's like they're all really great stories of like, if we don't have an idea, like, because even you telling me that story in that way makes me think of like, well, if we don't, the lesson is if you don't know what is good or bad, you're going to take a chance and it might be bad. Yep. Which is a great lesson to learn. Yes. And then you should then you grow still when you take evolve. The chance. Yeah, whatever.
You shouldn't be punished for taking the chance.
Much less everybody else punished for you taking a chance.
Yes. So I was also thinking, I was thinking more about tarot, and I was also thinking about comedy. And I guess what are like, because those two things really help shift you through, like if someone is going through a tough time, like, I mean, I guess like what's a good intro into shifting your energy? We said breath work and we said music, but I
love that you're even thinking about the two of those together, because that's quite literally where I am within my practice. I mean, I say practice, I don't know. That's
it's a
really
practice.
Within my practice is like figuring out what the sort of next step is of like doing tarot. Because I like to do it for a large group of people. I love to do it for an audience. Yeah. And like doing it in a way where it's like, you're not necessarily coming to this experience to expect to be read to filth. You're coming to be entertained, but you're gonna leave with something. And it's like, for me, it's finding that balance between the funny and the very real.
Yes.
And the deep and
That's
the deeply
literally
personal.
what this podcast is, y'all.
Exactly.
I
mean,
literally
it's
was
important.
just trying to find the balance between the very real and the funny, and like the very, I say woo-woo comedy. It's not really woo-woo to me. It's real.
Exactly.
But
I love
yeah.
yes. No, and I mean, and that's why I'm like, with I'm like, this is exactly what we need. We need this. And like, there is such a space for it in this realm of like, there's 1,000,001 workshops. There's 1,000,001 seminars.
Yes.
And the thing that they're all missing is fun.
Yes. Yes, that's
All
how I
of
feel
them.
about even with podcasts. I'm like, I'm listening to health and wellness, or I'm listening to a legit, like very grounded, serious about, I don't know, like, ETs. You know, like we're having a really serious conversation. I'm like, we can play, y'all.
Crack a joke.
We can.
You're talking about
Yes.
aliens. Like, crack a joke. What are we doing?
It's so serious.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I went to, well, I will say Abraham Hicks is kind of funny sometimes.
But it was in going to her workshop, for me, the only time that I noticed that everyone was locked in was when she cracked a joke.
Yes.
And I'm like,
oh, more of this.
Do more.
You can tell the truth and also crack jokes. Yeah.
And
because I felt that way. Joe Dispenza's so serious.
Genius. But so serious.
We're very serious. And I mean,
Uncle
genius.
Joe.
Like, I know I did learn a lot at his workshop. Mostly it just pushed me to meditate for 45 minutes multiple times in one day.
Yeah. Envision that it's just me in the middle of nothing, which is like my favorite thing.
Yes. And you're like squeezed in these little seats next to a gazillion people. And I'm like, okay, let me just focus. But I was like, I actually can do it. I can meditate. We all can do it, y'all. I promise.
But that, again, like I was saying before, that I think it's like such an interesting intersection that we exist in with that, because it's like, what is funny? Like the energy of a laugh, of being like that relief, right? And the like the almost like inevitable exertion of that energy. When something is funny, you can't help but laugh. So then where is the connection to the spiritual that isn't like, again, that self-deprecating thing? Like, where obviously we can kind of make fun of it because it is a little silly sometimes.
Yes.
But then where is the funny thing other than that? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
no.
But which I think is still a discovery in that.
And I find it's easier to tap into like when I did my episode of Ghost with Oscar, it was easy to tap in because, well, Ghost is light, and either you believe in ghosts or you don't. If you're listening to this, you probably do. So
Probably.
you probably do. But like, it was easy to tap in because he's not necessarily, a ghost expert. He's not a ghostbuster.
Right.
He's a comedian who's seen some ghosts.
Right.
So we were able to tap in, but it's tough with even like with my some of my other episodes. I'm like, oh, well, I guess no one's an expert on this, but we do have a lot of knowledge, but also we're trying to keep it light and so it is very tough. It's intersection that I'm trying to also figure out. Yeah. And I don't want to make fun of it, because as much as I like joke, I want like medicine and flavor. I want like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you gotta have the sauce still.
Yes.
Because I do a show called Auntie Claire's Spiritual Hotline.
Yes.
And I do it every new moon. And it's like a live virtual show, and I have people call in and like leave voicemails, and like I will answer them and pull cards as this character, and like I'm pulling cards still. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still doing the reading, but it's like I have to then filter the message through me and then through this character and then have it come out, which is a lot of work. Yeah. But it's like, that's where I'm like in this thing that I'm trying, right? I'm working to find the sweet spot in like, what is the balance between, does this have to be hit the same way that a regular reading does? Or can I go full jokes, and then maybe hit with a real message every now and again? Does that make sense? It's like I feel like everything is an assessment of what the energy is.
Also, that makes me curious about like your like psychic abilities. Do you find that you do a little bit of mediumship while pulling tarot, or do you like what are our little tools in our toolbox?
I think it really depends on like what the situation calls for. There have definitely been some times where like people's energy or loved ones' energy have come through where I wasn't expecting it. They weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
It was just so strong.
Yes.
And I can't deny it when that happens, but I wouldn't call myself a medium.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that is, one of the things.
Well, you're a Pisces, so it's already
right.
just
It's there,
brewing
but I can't lie. I be getting scared sometimes.
Yeah.
I be getting scared.
You're like,
I don't see things, and I think that's on purpose, because it would be a little too much for me.
I know. I get scared too. I've had moments where I've asked for spirit, you can visit, and then as soon as I feel an inkling of some energy, I'm like, actually,
that's okay.
Don't do that.
That's okay.
Don't do that.
I trust it. You're here. I trust it.
Yeah.
And like even like hearing things sometimes is a little too much for me as well. But like that I can handle.
But it does happen sometimes.
Yeah. The claircognizance is the strongest of like just the very clear knowing.
Yes.
And then clairaudience is the second strongest in that like that's the way for me like when I get into that sort of meditative space, especially songwriting, that's when the messages come through and it's like just very, very clear.
Yeah.
But
do you usually like do something to prep to get in that space, or you just sit with it and then eventually you warm up into that space?
A lot of the time the music will get me to that. Like
okay.
I'll light some incense or candle or something. Love like rose or sandalwood for the moment for creating. But yeah, it'll especially if the instrumental is right. I can just put that on a loop and like that will then do something in my brain of like, oh, we're like existing in this song. Like it's like my brain is like I'm even like trying to visualize it in my mind right now. It's like I'm seeing where the notes are and then I'm thinking about what is the message that has to fit in with these notes. Does that make sense? It's like I can see it in my mind's eye.
Yeah. Wow.
It's bizarre.
That's really cool. I know. I feel like at least I had a reading and she was like, oh, you're so open. And I was like, maybe I'm just too in my head. But then there's times where I have felt open, but usually like during a dream, I've had dreams and stuff like that. And then I got to remember to write down my dreams. But sometimes they stick with you when it's something that I think you are supposed to learn from it, or at least for me.
I think also sometimes people think that like it has to be like super profound.
Yeah. I think that's one reason why I'm like, well, I guess I'm not that clairvoyant, because in my mind, like if somebody isn't like straight up talking to me, like a boy, like a, you know what I mean? Then I'm like, then it's not happening. But yeah.
Yeah, no. Sometimes it's just a really, really great idea.
Yeah.
And that's especially being an artist.
Yeah.
That's the way they're coming through to you.
Yes.
And it's like, that's what you need. And like, for me, it's like anytime I get that answer of what I need in that moment, I'm like, oh, we're here. We're locked in.
Yes.
We're locked in.
And then when I do my meditations, I do the Joe Dispenza one. I did the 35 today.
Wow.
But it was, but I'll be like, oh, I don't wanna. And then I do it and I'm like, girl, you feel so much better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, it's so good. It actually does work. Like, you just have to do it. But for whatever reason, like, the human doesn't want it to sit still for 35 minutes. Like, there's no reality where I thought I even could do it. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, you did that. And you feel much better. The breathing helps with it. Like, breath work helps so much with tapping in. And that's why, for our last minute, we are going to do a little breath work.
Yes, I'm so excited.
What type of breath? Do you have a preference?
No, I'm all ears. I don't know. I mean, I know enough, but I'm not an expert. Okay. I'm excited to learn.
I'm thinking we'll do something with a little sound because sound because you're a musician, all of it. So I'm thinking just like an inhale and then a sigh, exhale. And I'll set a little, well, actually, we have a little timer on the screen.
Oh, beautiful.
So we'll start at the 50 and we're going to breathe in through our nose and then exhale out of our mouth.
Okay.
Just 30 more seconds. And on this last one, hold the breath up at the top. Hold it. Hold it. Exhale. Yay. How do you feel?
You know, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I feel like exactly what we were talking about. I just had like an epiphany on, because as we were doing that, maybe the first 3 times I was like, this is funny. I was like, this is funny, and I want to make a joke. I was like, well, we're in it. And I almost wanted to make fun of us doing it.
Because it's
obviously
insane.
There are 2 men in the room as well. And like, they're not really, production's not necessarily involved. And I was just thinking of it outside of us. And I was like, this is funny. But then that's the part that the spiritual connection is like, the funny part is the ego witnessing the self, because then after maybe 4 or 5 of them, you can feel the release and then feel good, and then you're like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. You're like, it might be funny, but it's not funny.
Look at the space, look at us in this room, just
like,
doing
7 lights,
sighing,
and we're sighing like verbally, which is, but it feels really good, and I was like so excited because it felt good, and then I had this like epiphany as well, and it's just. It's amazing.
Hilarious.
I love
it. We love. Is there anything we want to plug for? This will be a few weeks, like 3 weeks.
Whatever. Stream our music, listen to our music. At this point, it might be around a new moon potentially for Auntie Claire's Spiritual Hotline. If not, look up Auntie Claire's Spiritual Hotline. Come find me. I'm on Twitch. And
Twitch.
Yeah, that's where I do Auntie Claire.
Fun.
Twitch and
I'm
YouTube
not on Twitch
Live.
Yet.
I feel like that's where all the kids are.
Yeah, the kids are on Twitch.
The kids are on Twitch.
And they love it.
And I'm trying to get down with the youth, you know?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just, I also like to play little games here and there. So I like Twitch.
We love.
But yeah,
perfect.
Peachkka everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, 2Ks.
And lastly, this is the show where Mercury is always retrograde.
Period. I love it.
Yes. You can say it too if you want.
I love that. Where Mercury's always in retrograde.
It's always retrograde.
You said something about the metaphysical and the messy or something. I love that. I was like, that's tea. I love that. Oh, thank you so much.
Yay. Thank you. This is a blast.
Yes.
All right.